Hello, Saints Nation. As you've probably heard by now, Seaside Events and the New Orleans Saints have come together to plan the official Saints Legends fan cruise aboard the amazing Norwegian getaway sailing out of New Orleans, Louisiana from April 6th to the 13th, 2025. I'm Nick Valinchak, and I can't wait to sail away with you on this inaugural Saints Legends fan cruise. This journey promises fun, adventure, and I'm sure we'll talk a little bit of football on the way. For more information, visit saintslegendscruise.com and let's gear up to paint the seas black and gold. And I'm excited today because I'm joined by one of the key cogs of the Super Bowl XLIV. You know, you would think in the years of doing podcasting, I would have taken the time to figure out what that Roman numeral stood for, but yet here we are. At least I got a laugh out of the man, and I'm here today to talk with tackle Jon Stinchcomb. How are we doing today, Jon?
Doing great, Nick. And Super Bowl 44 was a highlight for most of the Who Dat Nation of all Saints fans. So we'll forgive you for not learning all of the letters and how they translate from Roman numerology to just regular old numbers. But it's near and dear to our hearts, if nothing else.
Well, listen, math is hard. Okay, so we'll take baby steps with it, and I'm sure by the time that we set sail in April for the cruise, I'll have all of the very famous events. We talked with a little bit with Van Jakes about his tackle, like his being on the field when the Saints were able to achieve their first winning season and how special that was. So I'm already learning a lot of the facts about Saints history. I'm really excited about it. It's seen a lot of great players, such as yourself, Pro Bowler 2009, part of that Super Bowl 44 championship team. And you also blocked for an offense that set the NFL record at 7,474 total yards. That's pretty impressive. What does that mean to you?
Well, it was great. We were part of historic, not only offense, not only for our organization, but you look at what Coach Payton and Drew Brees and the entire offense was able to do during that era. And it was something that we can all be proud of. And obviously that season was very special for all of Saints fans out there. It's a memory that's near and dear to our hearts. And just to be able to participate in it and be a part of it, it was an honor. And I think one of the things of note is that there were not only very talented players, but great people. And you look, and it's less than 5 years removed from Katrina, and the relationship that was created between the city, really the entire region, and that team was so very special. And I think it just galvanized such a unique and wonderful experience and made it, it elevated it. It took it to a whole nother level of connection between the fan base and the team. So very grateful to be a part of it. And not only were we able to win championships, but as you mentioned, I think it was kind of revolutionizing the game. You look at the number of times that offenses have since relied upon the passing game, and those numbers continue to get inflated. And I think the Saints were on the front end of those things. And really to the credit of obviously Coach Payton and staff, Drew Brees, pretty key part of it, but the entire organization and the team itself, we all played a big role in developing something that was pretty special.
Yeah, I mean, you're definitely hitting the nail right on the head there, because that was a time in the league where we really hadn't fully conformed to the aerial attack that we're seeing today, where teams have just had to understand, that's modern day football. And it's not to diminish the value of running backs, but we definitely see their roles start to diminish a little bit, and more committees taking place as opposed to that one central figure in the backfield. So yeah, I mean, and in regards to New Orleans, one thing I always like to say is that tough times make tough people. And I think even if it, 5 years later, I'm sure Katrina was kind of built into the ethos of what the team was really pushing for. Now, you joined the Saints in 2003, drafted out of a, relatively unknown college by the name of Georgia, who modern day, most college football fans just know them as Daddy, as they have been perhaps the best college football team at least in the past 5 years. I know they didn't get the job fully done last year, but they still have had multiple terrific seasons in a row, have produced a lot of really good talent at the collegiate level and in the NFL level. But let's talk a little bit about your time that you were with the Saints, and what is like one of your favorite moments? I mean, I know that Super Bowl 44 probably has to be up there as one of the best, but is there anything else that really sticks out to you as like, oh yeah, this is one of the crowning achievements of my career on the field, or of our team on the field?
Sure. Well, first, it was an honor just to be drafted to New Orleans, and um, anytime you get that opportunity, it's fun for all of us because you're realizing a childhood dream, and so it also provides opportunities to create those lifelong memories. And I'm not alone in this. For most of Saints fans, in addition to Super Bowl 44's victory, there's a couple games that stick out, and to be a part of that game, that first home game post Katrina against Atlanta. That obviously Steve Gleason has his statue outside of the Superdome, and rightfully so. What a great honor for him, not only to recognize that moment, but really what he's represented on such a higher level. And that game is memorable for all of us for so many different reasons. Obviously, that blocked punt, but just for the city itself to say that Katrina was devastating in so many different ways, but we're still here. I think the city of New Orleans, really the entire region, is so resilient, and it was reflective in that game that here we are against our bitter division rival in the Atlanta Falcons. They're coming to town, and there's a Green Day concert and all the surrounding festivities that it made it feel much more like a playoff game, at least that type of atmosphere, than it did just a week 3 or week 4 in the regular season. It felt very special, and it's a very fond memory for me. I'm sure I'm not alone, just because for all of New Orleans, we were here and we were survivors, and it was that first shot of new life and rebirth for this entire region, and also for our team. We're coming off a 3-13 season that was forgettable because it was so painful, and having been on that side of it, I think for Saints fans, they're able to appreciate it even more because no longer would we be recognized as the Aints. That was a year that we go on and play. I think it was our first playoff win, and we're playing in the NFC Championship in Chicago. It didn't turn out the way we wanted it to, but it was yet another hurdle that was cleared for not only this team, but for the entire fan base. So a couple memorable moments. Obviously, the home win against the Vikings in that NFC Championship in 2009 on our way to becoming Super Bowl champions was another great home game win. But really, I think during that entire stretch, I think the Saints fans just made the Superdome such an impossible place for opponents to come and play that it was such a great time to be a Saint and be a part of that team during such a fun atmosphere that was created, because I think one, the team was actually producing on the field, but two, it came on the heels of some pretty hard times for our entire area, for our region.
Yeah, I mean, it's really funny that you mentioned the fans, because it wasn't until probably that late 2009 2010 time that you really started to hear more prominently the announcing teams talking about the teams like the Seahawks, the Chiefs, the Browns a little bit, the Saints, the Eagles. Well, the Eagles are mostly against their own team because they're ruthless in Philadelphia. But you really started to hear about how the fan base really can interact and kind of change the tide in games. So I think that's really cool. And that's what allows the fans to really have connectivity with the team and the players on the team, is knowing that in unison, pumping them up is going to get the blood flowing and say, okay, these people, we're competitive. We want to win. That's why we've devoted our life to do this to begin with. But now we have tens of thousands of people screaming for us, and we don't want them to leave unhappy. So we're going to push a little harder. Now, speaking of pushing a little bit harder, I love to ask this question, and especially from an offensive lineman position, I think this is a really good one. But who was it that when they stepped on the field across from you just really got you up because you either wanted to put them on their butt or you knew that they were going to elevate you to the height of their game to keep them out of the backfield? But who was like one or two guys who really did that for you?
Well, we played in the NFC South, right? So my Februaries through really late July, before we go to training camp, they were in preparation for a certain defensive end who played for the Carolina Panthers that I knew we would see at least twice a year, and that's Julius Peppers. I mean, he was the standard bearer for really all defensive ends during that era. Not only was he an elite pass rusher, but he wasn't one of those guys that took a lot of plays off and was just trying to pad his sack statistics. That he was a all day, you better bring your lunch pail, and very talented player. So he made us all better. He certainly made me better. I know this, Nick. It was my first game, my first start against Carolina, and we came in with a really good game plan for him specifically. Like, we're going to minimize the impact that Julius Peppers is going to have in this game. So first play of the game, it's going to be like a play action bootleg away from him. I can come off the ball as hard as I can. We got Ernie Conwell at tight end. He's going to hit him before he runs out on his route. We're going to fake the ball to Deuce McAllister, who's one of the bigger backs in the league. He's going to get a shot on him. We're going to set the tone early that, you know, we're going to come after you. We've got a plan for you. We're going to hit you every different way we can. And we did. So first play of the game, I'm coming off. Ernie gets a good chip. Deuce hits him. We actually throw the ball to Ernie on this little cross pattern. And I watched as Julius runs down the field and gets in on the tackle like 35 yards down the field. And I'm going, oh boy, this is going to be a long day. And, you know, we had a number of battles after that one, but super talented player. And somebody that I knew you had to get ready for. You had to start preparing in the off season because if you brought anything less than your best, it could get embarrassing because you'd seen it on film a number of times for a number of different players.
Yeah, it's good to hear the name Julius Peppers because I think that as the years go by, more guys enter the league, and it's really hard to kind of remember everybody. But man, I remember that period of time where Julius Peppers was the guy, and he had a great career. And I'm sure you had many frustrating moments lining up across from him and just trying to figure out why do I have to be the one that has to try to stop this? What am I going to do? Yeah, that's when I'm putting my hand up and say, I got a sore throat today. I think I need to get some Gatorade and sit on the sidelines for a little bit. So we've talked a good amount about like what you've done on the field. I think that it would do you no service to gloss over the fact that you were also, and there's a lot of football players, and I think it's becoming more prevalent, are really paying attention to what you are doing off the field and in the community. You were a 2008 Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. What did the city of New Orleans mean to you? And especially like you're saying at this time, you know, they're going through a huge upheaval with Hurricane Katrina, and being there and being part of it. What would you like to think would be your lasting legacy and what you did off the field with the New Orleans community?
Well, hopefully it's one that it's a mutually beneficial relationship, that New Orleans welcomed me in with open arms, and I tried to be an active member in the community. I mean, I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to play in the NFL. It was living out a childhood dream, but I was raised in a home that to whom much was given, much is expected. And there is opportunity and platform that's provided for so many of us, um, to be able to engage in special ways. And it's not always, I use the term, I'm guilty of it, of giving back, as if it's just, the city is a recipient of something that I provide. And that was not our relationship. It was almost symbiotic in nature, because I felt accepted. I was welcomed in. I was treated to more crawfish boils than I was probably deserving of. And that was the nature of, and still is the nature of New Orleans, is if you're a part of the family, you're treated like family. And um, I certainly took that approach in recognizing that um, I may have been at one of the more fortunate ones in the family, and was given opportunities to share those benefits with that New Orleans family, with some that might be struggling a little more than others. So it was important for me to try to take advantage of some of those opportunities of being a active participant in the Children's Hospital and their efforts down there, to uh, participate in Feed the Children events, and bike giveaways, and just trying to, with all of the beauty that exists in New Orleans, there's such a rich culture and rich generational family engagement and investment in that area. It also comes with some deep seated pain and struggle and strife. And you look at the amount of poverty that continues to exist. And I think for so many others, I was not alone when I was a player there. And you can certainly see it in current players today that are trying to make a difference, that are trying to change the trajectories of lives, not just, it's important, if Thanksgiving rolls around and there's a turkey giveaway and you're given boxes of food and you're trying to change days and weeks and months of people's lives, but also the efforts that exist to change trajectories. And, my wife ended up teaching at Desire Street Ministries, and that was an effort with another former Saint, Danny Werfel, that we became very actively involved in. Uh, that was in the Ninth Ward, and obviously Desire Street projects, and you're trying to create opportunities uh, for folks to experience life a different way than what they've seen. And I think that's what's so important for all players, is to recognize that there's a unique platform, a unique opportunity that exists for us to try to help others that may not have those same benefits and gifts and opportunities that we've received, that we can share those. And I think that's one of the special pieces that continues to be cultivated across the Saints organization. You look at guys um, really top to bottom of this roster. Cam Jordan has done it for years of just finding ways to give back and be a part of the fabric of the community. And that's just ingrained in so many of us that were participatory in this New Orleans Saints organization.
Yeah, and I mean, I get exactly what you're talking about. Did about a decade worth of work at a local homeless shelter, and so I understand the concept of giving, but also the symbiotic getting at the same time. And people oftentimes don't think, and you're not doing it right to intrinsically or physically get something out of it, but those experiences that you go through and the secondhand experiences you hear from the people that you're helping really help to mold better your drive and understanding about why you're doing the things you're doing, and really press you to want to work harder. So I think going hand in hand with that, like what advice would you have for current Saints players, either on the field or off the field or both?
Yeah, well, who wants to hear an old head offer advice? But I will give my 2 cents, and free advice is worth the price you pay. But I think it's to recognize your opportunity, that we're given a certain platform that few get to experience, and to recognize that we're in this life together. And because we have been gifted with abilities that few others have, it's also provided a way for us to engage in ways that few others can. So, uh, recognizing that because we get to play a game for a living and we're compensated pretty well for it, um, we can help others around us and engage in ways that are unique and special. And I would encourage all those that can to do to be involved and help change the trajectory of lives for those that were around. That New Orleans specifically provides unique opportunities to connect with folks in special ways, and I encourage you to do that.
Yeah, that's great advice, and I think everyone should heed it, even if you are an old head. I mean, I know at one point I didn't want to listen to anyone, but you get to understand when you start to get older and you're in the position of advice giver that maybe it would have been wise to listen a little more along the way instead of talking as much. At least for me, that has been my experience. I would be remiss if I didn't retouch on the subject that we are in fact going on a very fun cruise in about 9 months' time now. Are you a cruise going fellow, John?
I love a good cruise. I like the fact
Awesome.
that you get to hit different spots and end up experiencing beautiful beaches, but also you get back in and you don't have to pack your luggage every night when you travel. So I look forward to yet another great cruise and doing so with a wonderful fan base.
So we're going to places like Costa Maya, Harvest Caye, Roatan, and Cozumel. Have you been to any of those locations, or is there anything specifically about what we're going to be doing on the cruise that you really get you excited?
I love a beautiful beach, and I've been to a couple of those. I certainly haven't been to the private island that Norwegian has access to. I look forward to it. I also enjoy just being on the Lido deck, if you will, and enjoying the various entertainments on a cruise ship. That the shows and performances are usually second to none. And I know for my wife and I, really my whole family, that they offer something for all of us, and I look forward to it.
I can definitely tell you from previous experiences that these really can and should be a family affair. You know, we had multiple um, alumni on the Browns fan cruise bring their families, and it's a really unique opportunity for everybody involved in the situation to really be able to enjoy themselves. There's copious amounts of activities that can be done. There's water slides. There's mini golf. You know, I know a lot of the guys on the Saints cruise are definitely avid golfers, and we're working our hardest to make sure that there is some kind of avenue for them to get that out while they're on the cruise. I think they'll be able to at the islands, but if they're not, they'll still have an opportunity to play some mini golf. I think the biggest selling point for all of this is really the intimacy and the ability to kind of get to see and interact with the Saints legends in ways that they really normally wouldn't be able to do. And I think that's what provides a certain level of excitement. So, would there be something like trivia sessions or question and answer sessions, or more of like the actual competitions at the beach parties and other parties that you would be more excited for?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I think what's special for the fan base is having that access to ask the questions that they want to, because they probably have heard stories of, like, tell me about the locker room. They always want to know about the relationships among the players, and some of those behind the scenes stories that don't always make their way to the mainstream media, but yet, because of their intimacy with the team, they might know a little more than others and want to know a little bit more at a deeper, more intimate level. And I think that's what's so unique and special about these cruises, this being the inaugural one that's official for the Saints, is they'll have those opportunities to ask those questions, to understand a little more and get the behind the scenes questions that they might have answered. I think they also like to see, you know, at any given moment, whether it's mini golf or otherwise, that these are some of the most competitive individuals on the planet. And so now they'll have a chance to compete maybe they couldn't compete on a football field with us, but they certainly can compete alongside of all of us, whether it's putt-putt or otherwise, in a way that gives them some unique access. So it's going to be a fun opportunity, a great engagement. I enjoy hearing the stories that they have because I can't tell you the number of times where a fan will ask me my experience leading up to the Super Bowl or what it was like to get drafted. And then they'll tell me how they experienced that NFC Championship game where we beat Minnesota in overtime and where they were. Those are cool ways to engage. And we like hearing those stories because we were able to play for New Orleans for a finite period of time. And for many of the most loyal Saints fans, they were they had baby pictures of themselves wearing black and gold with a fleur de lis on their onesie. So uh, they certainly have that affinity that stretches over decades in ways that we like to that we're grateful to be a part of for that period of time. But we like hearing those stories from their perspective as well.
Yeah, I think that oftentimes it gets overlooked that how generational football can really be, sports in general. But I mean, I know that there's so many times that I can think of about a memory I have with my dad and or grandpa sitting and watching a game, and how being able to relive that almost provides a time travel type experience where I physically feel like I'm going back to 7 years old and watching Dan Marino and Mark Duper connecting for a touchdown, and being excited. That's why I liked when I was younger was Dan Marino, not maybe not necessarily Dolphins, but Marino specifically. And so I'm sure as an athlete, when you hear that, you start to realize that what I did affected so many people, and then not just affected them, but like have produced memories that they will look upon so positively and smile about their dad, their grandpa, their aunt, their sister, whatever it might be, their friends, and they'll always be able to hold those memories. So that's really a unique experience. So if you were making one final push to Saints fans, what would you tell them? Why would be the biggest reason they should jump on the cruise this coming April?
Well, there's too many reasons to just give them one. But in addition to an awesome week-long cruise, I think that's a pretty good motivator in and of itself. Spend your spring break touring the Caribbean on a beautiful cruise line, seeing awesome spots. And here's the kicker. Not only will you be able to experience everything that a top line cruise line offers with great sights, but you can do that with sprinkled in opportunities to engage with almost 20 plus, I don't know the exact number, Saints that have spanned the decades, and you get unique access for that entirety of the week to ask the questions and hear the stories and connect and be alongside and just enjoy those lifelong memories that you can create. Uh, Boy, it seems like a no-brainer to me. I look forward to it, and I can see for any Saints fan that if you want to have a great trip and spend a week on an awesome cruise, and be able to do that with some of the best representatives of the organization and team that you love so dear in an intimate way, boy, I think that's a chance that I would jump on.
When you said here's the kicker, I legitimately for a second thought you were going to pull Garrett Hartley out, because that is who is coming. So that would have been a good.
Yeah.
I doubt he was around, but I don't know. I like being surprised. There's always a chance. Well, hey John, I really thank you for jumping in and doing this today. It's been awesome to hear about this, what you've done in New Orleans, both on and off the field, your excitement about the area, the team, and the cruise coming up. Do you want to tell listeners where they could find you at and what you're up to these days?
Yeah, so I moved back to Georgia. I am still representing the black and gold well and deep in Falcon country, if there is a thing. So I can at least harass those that I'm around, and let them know who the superior talent is in the NFC South, especially coming up this season. I'm pretty excited about it. I think we've got a good shot to make a deep run. Um, but these days, I'm doing commercial real estate primarily. Still train offensive linemen as they get ready for the draft, transitioning out of college into the pros. And they'll have to be subjected to hearing my voice a couple times this preseason as well. So always great to stay connected with the Saints Nation.
All right, another big thanks again to Jon, and you can find us on Instagram at Saints Legends Fan Cruise. You can find us online and book your cabin now at saintslegendcruise.com. We will see you later.